Hey, I'm back with No Frills Hi-Fi. Today I'm going to be looking at the AIYIMA A07 Max. I did the unboxing of this little guy a little bit earlier, so just going to kind of take a look at, actually connecting it and playing it, kind of see how it does. They did send me two of them, so as I said in the unboxing video, if you watched it, this can be run in either mono or stereo, so it's set up to do stereo first, which there's a little switch inside there that you can switch from mono to stereo, or stereo to mono. So I got it in stereo mode right now. I'm going to play it with stereo first, and then we'll try out mono. Pretty simple setup, but you do want to pay attention when you're plugging in your speakers. If you're running this in stereo, like I'm going to do first, these are the right side, these are the left side, and of course positive and negative. But you'll notice right here it says mono. So if you're running it in mono, you're only going to use these top ones. So this would be basically positive and negative on the mono side. And as far as left or right, it really doesn't matter which one it is. It's just know that, if you're coming from your preamp and you plug it into the right channel, that's the right side. So there's no switches or anything for that, or different way to plug it in. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to be using a Fosi Audio Box X4 preamp and my Denon DP1200 turntable. I've got some vintage Sansui speakers. This, as I said in the unboxing, this is 300 watts in stereo, 300 watts per channel, 600 when running mono. So way more wattage than what I need, but wattage doesn't really tell the whole story. I don't get too much into specs. I do make sure they kind of meet the minimum requirements, but beyond that, you get something that's this much more powerful than what you need, then you just want to be careful not to crank it way up and blow your speakers. But let's go ahead and get this plugged in. I always like to do all my connections before I do power, even though it's turned off. I just kind of always do that one last. And cable management, not really my thing when I'm testing stuff, just because I'm going to be plugging and unplugging and all that so much that I don't really pay much attention to it. Obviously, if I was going to keep this, I'd make it look nice, but not much point here. So let's see, this is the left side. And if I forgot to mention, I'm using SKW cables. Alright, now we're going to plug in the power. And I'm going to be listening to music from Big Pink. I've already got it queued up. It's by the band. It's what I test pretty much everything with. And I'm just going to set this preamp to about the halfway mark and control the volume here. Now if you're running it in mono, I would probably do the exact opposite. Turn these to about the halfway point and control volume here. So you can kind of do it either way. It just depends on where your volume control is. So I've just got that one about halfway. And maybe go a little bit more. So it actually sounds really good for what it is, using these just tiny little devices here. It sounds really good. I'm not going to say it's perfect. It's not flat either. Surprisingly good bass for that little thing. Good highs. The mids are kind of washed out with the two, though. I think the highs and the lows are kind of a little bit more prominent. But it sounds pretty good. Alright, so while this is playing, I'm going to look for a tiny little screwdriver. I know I should have been more prepared, but yeah, I wasn't. right, so honestly, I mean, why look for your tools, you know, alone when you can do it with an audience? So I've got a little screwdriver here. I'm just going to go ahead and turn all this off. Set that record back to the beginning. So now I'm going to unplug these, and I'll show you on this one that's not plugged in yet. This little switch right here where it says mono and stereo, you're just going to switch it from stereo to mono, and make sure not to forget that with either one. Alright, so I've got, let's see, the left channel on this one, and we are going to do, let's see here, we're going to do top, and then I'm going to put the right channel on this one. Got power. And again, I would make this look a little prettier if I wasn't changing stuff out all the time. I do wish these SKW cables had just a little bit more length here, because it is kind of hard to do like that. Now you can stack them too. I'm not a huge fan of stacking stuff, but you know, if you're limited on space, honestly, these are designed to do that, to cool well enough. But I guess I'm just kind of anti-stacking. But yeah, with those cables I've got, they're not really going to sit level. That'll drive me crazy. But I'm not keeping them set up, so if I was going to keep these set up like that all the time, I would probably find a different solution for that. But let's go ahead and get the turntable on. So this time, I'm going to turn my phono preamp up just a little bit, just giving it, you know, enough to turn it on. And then I'm going to go ahead and just one at a time put these at about the halfway point. So now we're going to give it some volume with this. That sounds pretty good. Turn those up just a hair. Okay, so before in stereo, I kind of felt like the mids or the lows and the highs came in really well, but kind of washed out the mids. Running it like this, it is significantly better. You know, I'm not cranking it up, but it definitely has a lot punchier bass, but the mids are coming through really, really well. I wasn't disappointed with the stereo. I mean, especially for $100. If I paid, you know, $2,000 for it, I would have said, yeah, I expect a lot more. But, you know, for a $100 amp, it sounded pretty good. But honestly, I would definitely, if I was doing this, you know, again, I would buy both and run a mono. This is definitely the way to do it if you can do it. But like I said, you don't have to buy both right away. Should turn it down a bit. You know, you can always buy one and then upgrade later if you decide you want to do that, if you decide that one is lacking in some way, or if you're pushing bigger speakers like this. If you just got little desktop speakers, probably not as big of a deal. But yeah, for a sub $100 amp, these things sound really phenomenal. And of course, you don't need the phono preamp if you're not using a turntable. If you're using like a computer or a phone or something else, you could always connect these a different way, you know, without that. Yeah, that sounds really good.
Hey guys, really need to talk to you about this little amp I just bought from Amazon, the AIYIMA A07 Max. It just was recommended by the Scientific Audiophile and the Cheap Audio Man on YouTube. Check him out. Really useful. And this thing delivers as promised. It's very powerful and it's very small. It's surprisingly small. I mean, look at it compared to my AV receiver. It's tiny. It's aluminum case, really smooth dial, and there's no controls, you know. It's just on, off, volume, that's it. It's easy to use, and a thing I really like about this is the on-off is on the volume dial. So when you turn it off or when you turn it on, because the volume is at 0, you don't hear a pop or anything like that, or you don't get blasted with music or anything like that. So that's really good, and I like the looks of it. It just, you know, it fits with everything else, right? The sound quality is very good. I have nothing negative to say about that, because some amplifiers, they have a sound to them, right? Like say I have a Cambridge audio amplifier, stereo amplifier, and has what they call the British sound. This doesn't have it. It doesn't color the music. It just sounds clear and clean. The connections in the back are super basic and simple. There's the power, your speakers. This is the auxiliary output. I plugged it into my subwoofer, and then you have the input, and that's it. Super easy. You can also use this amp in mono mode, which means you can use 1 amp per speaker if that's what you need, and then that makes it even more powerful, because this thing has a lot of power. So this, when it's shipped, you get it with the 36 volt power supply. That's with 8 ohm speakers, which I have. It produces 94 watts of power per channel from that little thing. And if you opt for the 48 volt 10 amp power supply, it goes all the way up to 185 watts per channel. That's more than this. So it delivers, and it sounds great doing it. It doesn't get hot, and there's minimal distortion. I haven't heard any distortion from this thing. So I have to plugged into I have my phono preamp and my turntable plugged into it, and it just sounds good, looks good. It's quality parts. From what I saw on the website, there's a Nichicon Elna capacitors in there. It's, top of the line, and I think I paid $92 US, which is unbeatable. I really recommend it.
turn around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills until the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life?
I have the Sennheiser plugged in, and I'm using it as a DAC for my amp. I just have it plugged in to the back of the amp. You can see it has spots for a subwoofer, the input, 2 speakers, and power. Plug the power in. Turn it on, blue light comes on. I'll turn this one up all the way, down to 20%. And then it sounds phenomenal in person. It gets very loud.